Hey guys, Mubarak here of In Penny Stock. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about a very special topic that's super important and breaking out right now, which is how to properly invest in marijuana stocks, okay? There's a few key steps that I would recommend anyone doing in order to understand the landscape, right? Regardless, I say this often, but what the lessons I try to teach are regardless of your background and experience, okay? So whenever I talk about these stocks, I try to think about it from a first time trader perspective. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever age you are, if you have traded or haven't, in this episode, I'm going to talk about how to invest in marijuana stocks, okay? Pot stocks, cannabis stocks, it's all kind of the same general realm. And it's super important nowadays because of the crazy amount of growth that's able to happen in that industry. All right. And, being a CPA and also being a VP of finance in one of the top companies in the industry, I'm able to have a first-hand experience and outlook on the space. All right. I'm dealing with these public companies all the times, different MSOs, which stands for multi-state operators, and different ancillary top public companies in the space. So this isn't investment advice in any means. Talk to your financial advisor. This is purely just a methodology and an ability for me to be able to explain to you guys how you can look into investing into marijuana stocks. Okay, so the first step is understanding that there's at least two different variations of cannabis stocks. All right, because a lot of times people get confused and hear all these different terminologies. So there's medical and recreational marijuana, right? And even in that scenario, that'll be split into two different scenarios. But say in the United States, right? There's probably about 33 states roughly right now, out of 50 obviously, where the medical marijuana is legal, meaning doctors and healthcare institutions, hospitals are able to prescribe medical marijuana to their patients. So they're consuming it. It's usually for anxiety, depression, pain, whatever. It's a proper medicine that's legal and it's allowed to be utilized for those patients. Okay. And then what's happening now is that there's probably about like 10 states in the United States where it's recreationally legal. And so people are starting to feel that eventually it's going to be legal across the United States, which will then have all the other countries follow as well. And that'll allow for a massive, massive increase in the market cap or in the worldwide spending on cannabis. All right. It's already, there's reports by the ArcView Market Research and BDS Analytics that, worldwide spending on cannabis was around 12 billion in 2018. And just a few years later, it's going to be about 33 to 36 billion. So it's looking like the industry might double or increase by 100% year after year, essentially. And so that's why it becomes such an attractive market. All right. You can almost look at this like the .com era. So just how many people got rich in the .com era, there was also a ton of people that, tried to hold on too long or got too greedy. And that's what we're here at In Penny Stock to help you avoid, to help you be able to be on the profitable side of the trading. Okay, so going back to the two types of marijuana, yes, there is medical and recreational, but one thing I would definitely make clear of is that there's your THC, which is the actual growers, right? The actual psychoactive plant that makes you quote unquote high. And then there's the CBD portion of it, all right? The CBD portion is the one that doesn't have any psychoactive properties, all right? It has several health benefits, and it's used to treat, things like epilepsy, different syndromes, different medicines. And so you'll find that's where Charlotte's Web, if you hear that term, or, hemp, that is all in its own sector. So in future episodes, I'll break out specifically the differences, but just keep that in mind as you look to invest in this space, right? Now, what you should see is that a lot of the times the space of cannabis itself has very particular elements. But fortunately, the great thing about the space is that there's not a massive amount of players, all right? There's about 50 public companies. And that might sound like a lot, but if you research the industry for about a few weeks or even a month or so, you'll be able to have a really, really good grasp of the space. And that's rare of other spaces where there's hundreds, if not thousands of companies, and you can't really get a grasp on all the names, all of the, different companies that are involved, right? So definitely recommend to be able to figure out where the publicly traded cannabis stocks are. You can use different stock screeners like FinViz, or a great website that I use, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but it's just a resource and an app I have on my phone that kind of keeps me up to date um, with this sector. And the reason it's important for me is because I'm a VP of finance in an industry in the realm. So it's a little bit more important for me to stay on top of all of the changes and all of the financings or financial news in the space. And so that website is newcannabisventures.com. And it's just a great kind of website, or even there's an iPhone app that I have, just gives me notifications on a daily basis, one or two big pieces of news or headlines that have happened in the space, or like when companies are reporting earnings, how they're doing. And so you can see, just scrolling on it right now, some of the big companies, GTI, Tilt Holdings, Ianthus, they're all reporting high levels of growth, millions and millions of dollars of growth, and they're also raising millions of dollars of funds. So you can see that it's an exciting space. There's a lot of room for growth. All right. Some of the most popular ones I just want to kind of list out so you have heard it and you'll see it more and more is Canopy Growth, right? That stock ticker symbol CGC, Aurora Cannabis, Kronos Group, Tilray, GTI, which I mentioned before, stands for Green Thumb Industries. Ton of them. Charlotte's Web, which is the CBD one I mentioned, Cresco Labs, MedMen Enterprises. You've probably, if you're in the bi-coastal regions of New York or LA, you'll probably have heard of them. But fortunately, there's not a crazy large amount of these types of stocks, and so you're able to have an understanding of it. There's the actual growers or retailers. There's the biotech portion, so like all the pharmaceutical companies in the space, such as GW Pharmaceuticals. That's actually listed on the Nasdaq with the stock ticker symbol GWPH. But yeah, I mean, that is kind of the core elements of the marijuana space, right? How to invest in marijuana stocks and different pot stocks to watch. You want to just be wary that this industry is still emerging. There's a lot of volatility and a lot of rules. And now what recently happened, and this is just going to be an opinion piece of advice, but in November, about midway through November of 2019, there was a bill passed through the House in the United States in Congress saying that there's going to be a legalization, or that they're approving the legalization of marijuana on the federal level. Now, that gave a lot of rally to the recent stocks, and people are getting very kind of gung-ho about it. Personally, I don't fully feel that it'll pass the Senate, given that the Senate currently is Republically owned and there's a majority as Republicans. So I think it's going to fail there, but it still shows that the country is moving in that direction, and that you can kind of set yourself up to be able to be in a favorable position once the legislation is actually passed on it. Because once it becomes federally legal, then there's no cap to this. Then you're going to see all of these companies 5 or 10x, and the real ones obviously are the ones that are going to be able to grow. The false ones that are just kind of trying to ride the hype, they'll get exposed and die out, which happens in every company in every realm. So what you're going to want to do is really do, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a technical analysis play, which is usually what I would recommend. So in this scenario, I would recommend actually looking at the fundamentals of the cannabis stocks, right? Take a 5 or 10 or like in a 1 or 2 hour course on how to analyze financial statements, and you'll get an understanding of, okay, being able to see, is this company just massively in debt and about to run out of money, or are they very profitable and they're growing in a very sustainable fashion, right? You don't want to invest in like another WeWork. If you don't know that news, kind of look it up. It's a very interesting story of things going on right now in that realm. But you want to be able to invest in the Coca-Cola, pretty much, of the industry. And so that you'll only be able to find by doing the proper research and due diligence on your side. And for more specifics, we teach that at inpennystock.com and in Penny Stock University. So check that out if you're interested in learning more about the step-by-step details on how you can get started trading marijuana or cannabis stocks. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me at admin, that's ADMIN, at inpennystock.com, or if you can also leave a comment or review below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.